And here we jump over to mat 12, where Rodrigo Francioni will take on Deandre Corbe. Two great wrestlers in this division. Francioni, as we talked about yesterday, looks like he's 2 weight classes ahead of this lightweight division where he's fighting for a shot in the semifinal. And Corbe, maybe feeling the strength of Francioni, decides to pull guard, where he has a pretty big volume of skills here. He can wrestle up, he likes to play the legs, but he's a little bit more versatile from his back.
Yeah, I really like the way that he plays his seated guard. He always keeps his head forward. He's very, very aggressive from the seated position. And a lot of times, the way to beat a seated guard is to, work on either attacking the feet or the head. So you see that from Francioni right now. You can elevate the feet up, put your opponent on their back. You can grab their head and snap them forward in like a front headlock kind of position. So now the battle here is how can Corbe stay seated, right? If that's where he wants to play at, which is exactly what it looks like. Francioni had a good strategy in lifting up those feet, but now Corbe regaining his position, not being put into a supine position or being put on his back. And again, playing a very forward seated guard, where his knees are open, but his chest is over his knees.
One thing I expect to see a lot from Corbe in this tournament is those 2-on-1 wrist control grips and doing a lot of kind of seesawing back and forth, looking for arm drags like that so that he can create this double threat of wrestling up and attacking the leg, exactly as he set up here, and he's going to look to put Francioni down.
Pull him back in, this way. Don't let him flee.
Yeah, be very careful on the edge of the mat here with where we go out of bounds and what it looks like as far as the referee if someone's running out of bounds.
Corbe has 2 options here, right? He can take the back or he can finish the takedown. The one thing he doesn't want to happen is Francioni to get out of bounds before he can do either of those 2 things.
Yeah, that was very sharp mat play. Very, very sharp. So he'll be rewarded for his insistence on that mat control, and they will be reset in the same position rather than being reset neutral on the feet if they were to go out of bounds in a scramble.
Really important for athletes to stay sharp in that position. It can be so easy to let the defending athlete get out of bounds that it doesn't take very much to get all into the yellow.
Hands locked. He's belly down.
Francioni fighting the hands right away, but now Corbe has chest to back and is going to start to look to break down Francioni. He steps over, and he'll look to start maybe passing this half guard that Francioni has remaining. Corbe with a body lock looking to pass toward his right side.
Stay on the hip, very good, we cook him. Doesn't matter how long it takes.
You can see the strength of Francioni there to get up to an elbow and then right back up to his hips, but he is leaving his back exposed for a moment there. Looks to turn into a single. Corbe staves him off, and they'll return to the feet. Now a double guard pull, and as Corbe comes up, he adds an advantage to his lead.
Now this is a really, really smart strategy for Deandre, because now, as we know with these sweep battles, he will always be ahead on the advantage. So if they were to trade sweeps back and forth, as long as he ends up with an even score, he will have the lead.
Interesting call there from Francioni to sit down, being down 2 points, and then to allow Corbe to come up first. Because you're right, Kendall, a 2-point lead is substantial, but not nearly as substantial as a 2-point lead when there's an advantage at play as well.
That was almost a huge sweep there from Francioni. I mean, he just did the biggest bridge, because he didn't have the underhook. Corbe had a really good passing position with the underhook and the half guard, and that was one of the most explosive bridge sweeps I have ever seen.
And in doing so, he's going to neutralize the advantage on the board.
Right, right. But man, I mean, Deandre's athletic ability, and not just his ability, because a lot of these guys and girls have insane athletic ability, but his awareness and the way he uses his athletic ability with his strategy and with being just so situationally aware is so impressive. It's very fun to watch. Super sharp.
One thing both he and his brother do is they're constantly, the Corbe brothers, creating these double threats, right? They push so that they can pull, they sweep left so they can sweep right, they attack the upper body so they can attack the lower body. Really intelligent jiu-jitsu and very, exactly as you said, very aware jiu-jitsu.
Right.
Body lock, good tap. Leg, very good. Very good. Nice job,
Corbe again up on a wrestle up sweep. He's going to score the 2 for that, increasing his lead to 4. And right back in on his body lock, this time looking to pass to the left.
Go, get on those knees, that's right. Slide the knees. Get up and tuck in, good. Very good, D. He gave you the chest.
Yeah, this is a very strong passing position here for Corbe. He has the underhook control on the right side. He looks like he's looking for double unders on this side. And a very strong smashing half guard with his hips glued, so there isn't a whole lot of space for either a knee shield or a half butterfly to come in. He does have to watch that bottom knee. It's creating some space, and Francioni playing with the idea of going to maybe a deep half. And again, that big bridge. Not quite able to come on top with that one this time, but man, does it create some space.
This time, Deandre, aware of that big bridge, takes the opportunity to follow it, nearly gets the pass, takes the back instead, and setting up the body triangle. Now up 8-0 with 4 minutes remaining. Francioni's strength at first allowed him out. The second time he paid the price as Corbe was able to dial in, expect what was coming, and capitalize on it.
Yeah, this is a game of what we were talking about yesterday. A lot of the time we see similar patterns with athletes in the match, in the same match, a couple minutes apart. And the idea is who can adjust to whose game a little bit faster and create just an inch of difference. And that inch of difference was the difference between, Francioni scoring an advantage on the edge of the mat versus Deandre ended up taking the back on this one. But it was the same exact sequence, almost to a T, with a small adjustment by Corbe.
Now with just over 3.5 to go, the winner of this match will move on to take on Danilo Moreira. On the other side of the lightweight bracket, of course, Jonathan Ramos versus Kieran Kachuk. Corbe looking here to set up this one-arm choke. He has the isolation, he has the arm across, and he's going to get the tap. Deandre Corbe moves ahead to the lightweight semifinals. Once again, last year he made it to the semis where he meet up with Gianni Grippo. This time in the lightweight division, moving ahead to the semis.